Hey everybody, it's your boy the D20 here. Just want to holler at you before we get to today's chapter reviews. I know it's late. I know I promised it wouldn't be late, but hey, shit happens, and I can honestly say that this will be the last late chapter review for a while without a good reason. Everything was kind of stalled. The person who was making my thumbnails and stuff for me, they had a lot going on in their lives, so I've taken over that. So I'll be responsible for my own thumbnails from now on. But yeah, so today we're going to talk about the My Hero Academia chapter, the two Black Clovers, and the One Piece. That's funny. One Piece, then One Piece, and My Hero Academia were alternating on breaks. But anyway, we're going to talk about those today, and I'm going to hit on some stuff in another video that should be going up around the same time this one does. But without further ado, let's get into it. Shonen Showdown. All right, first up on the block this week is going to be Black Clover. I'm going to go ahead and I think I'll fully be able to go through 264 and 265 in a reasonable amount of time. I can speak. All right, so we're going to start it off. Black Clover, page 264, Stirring of the Strongest. We start off with Nox at the meeting, continuing where he left off last time. After telling them, hey, I need to gather a squad, he then goes on to explain how they're going to use his magic to go ahead and infiltrate the Spade Castle once it's time. Also, he wants to separate the Dark Triad and take them out individually, which is the only smart idea, because as we've seen with Dante, Xenon, and Vanica, they alone their forces to be reckoned with. Together, it'll probably be worse. Although they may be the type of, they may follow that trope of like strong enemies who work better alone than together. But still, I think it's better not to risk it, because let's say for some odd ass reason they actually work good together. That's like, fuck. Okay, he goes on to explain their magics. Dante having gravity and body, Xenon spatial and bone, and Vanica curse warding and blood. And then, remember Xenon, from beating their ass. And he tells them that he can't take a crowd of people. Well, he can't take a lot of people up with his magic at once. So they'll need to choose only the best and then take them that way. Jack's been on some savage shit. He pretty much discounts everybody except the captains, which though it is kind of an asshole move, I can say that, yeah, I'd pretty much be on the same shit. Like, look, we got some good mages, but the captain should be the one to handle this. Steps up wanting to come, but Jack pretty much pulls it. He puts it home that Yuno's already lost once, and bringing him would just be pointless. And even for Goldie, I was like, hey, dude, we understand, but this is an important mission, and we don't need to. And we don't need any dead weight, which is a strong mage. Don't get me wrong. I think they all know that, but bringing him would kind of bring down. He would bring down the squad basically. Okay, I need to stop freezing. I need to keep talking. Okay, he then brings up the Spade Kingdom resistance, one of whom has met in the past few chapters. And that explains, like, he's told that he's a prince. So everybody goes on like, he explains his magic, blah, 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 blah. But he doesn't care. He's been raised as a Spade King, not as a Spade Kingdom, but as a Clover Kingdom commoner his whole life. So it's like, okay, I'm about 17 now. I've pretty much grown up my entire life as a commoner, working my ass off. So yeah, I'm a royal, whatever. I don't care. But he does bring up the point that the guy could be used as a source of information, such as knowing the castle's layout and things of that nature. And Jack goes in, and Jack is just on some savage shit. He's like, hey, you could be a spy. That guy could be a spy. But then he brings up something that I'm glad he brought up. Because remember, in the context of the manga, manga, I hate that word. In the context of the manga, he brings up, with everybody bring up suspicion, a lot of the, he brings up the suspicion of vengeance. So apparently they hammer it home that they know. I thought it was like, hey, something happened with vengeance. He was taken over. But it's here expressly stated. They know what happened. And he says that they've all been suspicious of Bondage since then, which makes it even surprising that Julius, being a nice guy, that he would actually let Vangeance maintain his captain position in spite of what he did. But he goes on to say that even though he being Vangeance has been under all the scrutiny, he's still been fighting. He's still been fighting, and even then, he goes and tells them that Captain Vangeance was trying to protect the Golden Dawn members while he was fighting. And he goes on to say he might have been able to fight a little bit better if he'd um, not protected them. Which even then, we go to a flashback of him fighting Xenon, to which he even says, he's like, look, you're going to lose because you want to protect them more than you want to beat me. And he even has a touching scene where Vangeance even goes on to say that the members of the Golden Dawn are his dream and they're, what he strives. They're the type of knights that he strives to have under him. And, goes on to tell them that and says that he won't, he wants to get back at Xenon, and then acknowledging the fact that Xenon thinks he killed the entire Golden Dawn, but that isn't the case. And he wants he wants his comeuppance. He then rouses his magic, and everybody takes notice, like, okay, you're really serious, and even Jack's like, okay, feeling his magic. And then the Sylph spirit, I can't remember her name, I'll call her Sylvia, but I cannot remember if she actually has a name. She's inside him storing mana, and she wants revenge. So pretty much it's gonna come down to a fight where she's gonna play a huge part, which of course she has, as started to level up his magic and integrate it more with her own. And then Nock observes him saying that he doesn't hate people like him. And Asta, being Asta, is like, hey, doesn't matter where you're from, you've always been, to me, so that's how it's gonna stay. All right, Nock then puts a time frame on everything. He says that they'll depart for the Space Kingdom in 2 days in the morning, and he'll send the info to them at a later time. He said, let's go beat, and it's on in 2 days. Goleon then asks that, hey, we need to get not he doesn't ask, he tells them that he wants to get the Heart Kingdom involved. But it's then that they receive word that the Dark Triad, Vonica, attacked the Heart Kingdom, to which Asta looks on in horror, knowing that it was Noelle, Charmy, old girl who always had that one titty out from the Golden Dawn. I cannot remember her name, but plant girl, healer. Leo was there. I already said Charmy. And pretty much all in Luck. They were all in the Heart Kingdom. So he's worried about them. And then the chapter ends out with Noelle waking up mysteriously in front of the Eyes of the Midnight Sun. Not a bad chapter. Yet again, we got this next chapter to go over, so I'm not going to say too much about this one. Less info dumpy. Just, it's the next chapter. Nothing much to say here, but we're going to go ahead and get on to the next one. All right, now for the current Black Clover chapter. Yuki Tabata's Black Clover, chapters 265, Alicia. All right, starts with Noelle, continuing to wake up, asking what the hell happened. Because as we saw from that ass whooping that she was given by Vonica, I knew Vonica didn't kill her, and I knew she was going to be left, but I thought they were going to leave there and then, go back to the Clover Kingdom, that whole thing. But you see them starting to wake up, yet again, facing the Eye of the Midnight Sun. I know they didn't die, but I thought it was going to be a while longer before we saw them. But anyway, so, she looks back, sees everybody, and then starts asking, like, where are we? And she sees a lush forest with a lot of magical creatures, like some magical goats, butterflies, squirrel things, blah, 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 blah. Oh, and even a big frog thing with mushrooms growing out of its head. Anyway, just, the sprawling landscape, some houses and whatnot. It's a beautiful place. I know it's not Lick. I think it's Patry. I think Patry was his name. Was his actual name. I know he went by Lick, but I think Patry was his actual name. He said this is Alicia. He said that this place exists in a portion of a strong magic region within the Heart Kingdom. which makes sense that elves would be able to live in a strong magic region, being that they are loved by the mana and blessed by it. So it makes sense that they could actually make their home somewhere like that rather than humans. Noelle then thinks, and she can see that it's densely populated with mana. Like there is, like it's. She even says it's flooded. Like this place just gives off mana, well, not unnaturally, but it's a lot of mana. And then the little boy and the little girl, I think the boy could be like preteen to teenage, but the girl is obviously a child. They're looking on and asking, are they awake? Noelle then goes on to ask, who are those children? To which they're introduced, and we're given the revelation that they're descendants of your Clover Kingdom's royal family and Licht. So apparently, which this we didn't know, these are the kids. Well, they're descendants of one of the kids that they're descendants of one of the kids that she was carrying. So this goes back to the elf arc. Was reincarnated into the elf that died. Well, the half elf, the child of Lick that died. That's his elf persona. But the other one apparently lived and was able to escape and continue to have children, I guess, which is weird. So we then flash back to Sekiri, to her knowing that Lady Tatia or Tisha, or however you pronounce it, I can't think how I pronounce it right now, her being alive but gravely injured. And she then sealed up her wounds, and apparently we thought that when she became a bird, it was immediate. No, apparently she even goes on to state that it was a long time. Apparently many years had passed when she awoke as a bird. So yeah, that wasn't immediately. So she then she tears up and she's grateful that yes, Lady Atetia lived, and the kids were able to go on living. So he then introduces this place as a new elves village. They're rebuilding. They want to remain here. And dang, I think it's Vanessa. I'm gonna call her Vanessa. Yet again, old girl who always, even when she got her robe on, always got that one titty out. And no, that's not a problem, but it's just weird that it's always one titty. I think it's always the right one. It's always that one titty that pokes out of the robe. It's hilarious. Anyway, so Vanessa, no, her name is not Vanessa. I think it's Marissa. Anyway, one titty. That's what I'm gonna call her, and we're gonna keep going. This is staying in. You're gonna hear this. But yeah, he says, Patri, that Dryad, the guardian of Elysia, sent us a divine revelation. So, and when he's saying this, he's saying the tree. So apparently, there's a spirit that inhabits the tree that is the deity that serves that place, which isn't too far fetched because you have the four great elemental spirits, which we've met: fire, salamander, Sylphie, the wind spirit, and I cannot remember the water spirit's name off the top of my head. We met her too, and we know it's going to be an earth one, and there could potentially be others. So with that being said, it doesn't surprise me that there are actually spirits who inhabit the land. So yeah, so pretty much. He then goes on to say that once they were given that revelation, they went to go save them, even though it should be said that they each survived the explosion on their own. They just brought them here to heal. And then he even goes on to say that thanks to what they did, the not Spade Kingdom, but the Heart Kingdom citizens were also spared. And he even goes on to congratulate them, like, hey, you faced a hell of an enemy, but you weren't killed. And he's like, hey, over the past 6 months, you've really done good to, grow this much. Noelle then freaks the fuck out, saying that we weren't strong enough. And she thinks of how they took Lola Pechka away. And she then looks to them saying that, hey, y'all are stronger than us. We want to get on your level. Because even, everything we've done these past 6 months hasn't been enough. Patri, he even says, like, you've already trained 6 months and you couldn't defeat them. So what the fuck are we supposed to do? Pretty much, yet again, not what he says, but just paraphrasing. Noelle then goes on to ask, like, hey, we're not giving up. It's going to be hard to get strong, but, giving up is going to be even harder than that. And then everybody rallies behind her saying, yeah, they want to do it. And even Patri and Raya are like, oh my God, these people are pain in the asses. But Patri does agree, saying that there is a way you can get stronger. And he says that he'll have to use the elf's esoteric technique, the ultimate magic. So looks like they're going to pull some type of DBZ spirit water shit, because they only got 2 days. Either that, or they're going to try some hyperbolic time chamber like shit, which, hey, I wouldn't mind. I mean, it's legitimate. I mean, Julius has time magic, so, being able to, funnel your magic into time, slowing down time dilation, that whole shit, doesn't seem that far-fetched. But yeah, surprise. I don't know, like, I'm interested in what it is, because like I said, it could be some type of spirit water power boost, or like Fairy Tail when Ulta used the Arc of Time to unlock their second origin, or it could be like some type of time dilation, or even then, it could be some type of way for them to funnel natural mana into themselves and retain it, which would be cool, but yet again, we'll have to see. But yeah, not a bad chapter. It moved the needle, just not a lot. But yet again, we'll see. And on to the next one. Alrighty, and bringing up the rear this week is going to be One Piece chapter 990, Army of One. Alright, the chapter starts off with a look at Onigashima from the outside and somebody on, Kyoshiro. We then go to see Sakigi talking to a few of the beasts, and we see the aftermath of one of Big Mom's attacks, which apparently freed him. There's the beast, they're apologizing to Sakigi, for not realizing he was captured. He then says, hey, it's cool, I was a fool, I was tricked by somebody I thought I could trust. And he said, Big Mom did all this? Being surprised because, pretty much her attack pierced the entire mountain, so he has a right to be surprised. But he goes on to say that it turns out that Kiyoshiro was one of Odin's men. And then he said he doesn't care about the history of Wano, but the price for betraying him will be steep indeed. And he then asked, because, yet again, he was guarding the back, looking for Yamato, so he doesn't know. He's like, hey, I was just back here chilling. What the fuck's going on? He then asks what's happening up above, and then, they're like, hey, Kaido's fighting with the vassals upstairs. We then go up to the dome to where Kaido and his army are fighting against the Sulong Mings, which they're whooping ass. Let's not be coy. They are fucking up the Beast Pirates. And the thing is, though they are fucking them up, it's not going as easy as you would expect. I think a lot of the community, they were expecting like, okay, a bunch of fucking Sulongs, they're finna wreck shop. It's not that easy. Now, a bunch of the gifters and pleasures and whoever's with them, they're getting bodied, but then you got a motherfucker like Jack. Jack is beating ass, and you can see a couple of the minks from the Musketeers and Forest Guards who specifically were saying they were going to take him. They're getting bodied. Although, from what you can see, Jack, he has multiple swords stuck in him. He's bleeding, so he's taking damage, but he's still holding strong. And then we have the vassals of Odin, the Nine Red Scabbards. Excuse me. They're in the back chilling. The human ones, well, all of them. Okay, yeah, they're all chilling, waiting. So pretty much they're letting the minks thin the ranks. But you can see by the looks on their faces, they're not happy about it. They want to fight. So then, as Kinemon's about to step in, we then see both Dogstorm and Cat Viper in their Sulong form within Shadow tell him to stop, because he was ready to fuck shit up, but they were like, nah, we're gonna take him, because you gotta remember what Jack did to Zoe, so he's kind of got this ass whooping coming. So then they rush him, but we quickly cut away to the performance stage inside the dome. We then have Queen comment on how Babanuki betrayed him, and he's wondering, like, okay, how did he do it? Did they threaten his life or whatever? But King quickly flies over to him, saying that he doesn't blame him, but then again tells him that he was working from the start, which Queen Chai's like, look, man, you could have just left that part out. King then contacts Todoropo, telling him that Onigashima's in chaos. But, well, no, excuse me. That wasn't King who told him Onigashima's in chaos. That was Drake telling Hawkins that Onigashima's in chaos. Telling him, hey, look, man, you didn't join the motherfuckers by choice. You can leave now if you want to. But Hawkins looks at him like, you're urging me to turn traitor? Kind of weird. Hawkins then goes on, he's reading his cards. He has his cards floating in the air, and he says 1%. Drake asks him, what does that mean? But then he says, those are the chances of a certain man surviving until tomorrow. So Drake still in cover says 1% sucks to be him. So then King, goes ahead. He finally answers King. He says, "Listen up. Pretty much the banquet's being invaded. This is the biggest disaster in Onigashima history. I'm not gonna go into the numbers. We know the numbers." He told him, "Look, the deal we had for the blood feuds, the blood fights or whatever pretty much the internal power struggle is over." And then he said that capturing Yamato will no longer earn you the right to challenge one of the headliners. To which they're all, they're pretty pissed about that. Then you have Page One and Ulti do a little back and forth, saying she wants him to give her a piggyback ride, and he's like, "Fuck no." To which King tells him to shut up. Kaido's on the roof. The enemy's trying to ascend. You gotta stop them. Don't underestimate them. Best of luck. So then Who's Who barges in and says, "Hey, Drake, while everything's going on, I need you to come. I need you to come with me. It's a bit," and he even says it's a bit too much for me alone. And when Drake asks, "What are you doing?" Page One says, "To the man I want to kill." And Who's Who, well, not Page One. Who's Who says to the man I want to kill. He says that we're going to Queen. So Drake says, "Hey, don't get me involved with your little squabble." And he even goes on to say, "You really want half our strength now?" And then to which Who's Who says, "Having him around only drags us down." To which Drake says, "I don't like the look of this." So we then see more clashing, more of the beasts are being taken out by the samurai, but then we have the Oniwabanchu Ninja Squad coming in and kind of not filling out the ranks, but, counterattacking. So it's not, so yeah, the Straw Hats attacking force, they can pretty much take the low-ranked beast pirates, but when it comes to Oniwabanchu, some of the headliners, that's where things get dicey. And you have the leader of the Ninja Squad and even Fukurokuju himself looking on. So then we see one of the numbers, Goki, and he goes on, he starts stomping through. The samurai trying to attack his legs, but they're not having any hope. Well, they're not having any luck taking him out. To which the Straw Hats then get involved. The samurai trying to stand strong, but he swings his spike club, to which Zoro cuts it up. Then Luffy says, "Don't push it," and he is going to go attack. So the club that Zoro cut off does fall, but Jinbei then catches it. One-handed, might I add, which the samurai are like, "What the fuck?" Like, this one dude, his eyes are popping out of his head. Just looking at the sheer badassery. So then everybody's remembering Thriller Bark, and they even said, if that's supposed to be like oars, then we once teamed up like this and just barely beat one of them before, but that was a long time ago. Commenting that things are different now, Luffy then goes gear 4th and proceeds to go to attack both Goki and Juki, excuse me. So 5 and 10. Okay, cool. So then Hyogoro, he looks on to Luffy. He's like, there it is again. Why he looks just like a guardian deity. It should be noted that with the veil of mist around Luffy and the way he stands and everything, he does look like a Japanese god. I think it'd be Fujin, not Raijin. I think it's Fujin that Luffy looks like. And he then goes on to use his gum gum. But we cut and we see Drake bloodied and battered. So he then goes on to ask what the meaning of this is, to which Queen and Who's Who, they're cool. So this whole time when it came to Who's Who wanted to kill and who Queen wanted to kill, we all thought, well, at least I thought, and a lot of people thought that Who's Who meant Queen and Queen meant Who's Who because he knew that Who's Who wanted to kill him. Queen knew that Who's Who wanted to kill. Not the case. They're good. It's him. Apparently, they all knew that when Hawkins let Law out after Law beat Hawkins. So I know a lot of people were like surprised by that. I'm like, if you go back and look at the silhouette, that's who I thought it was. Yet again, I wasn't making videos back then, but yeah, I would have went ahead and put my 2 cents in. Yeah, it's Drake. Drake let him out. It's pretty obvious. So then they then ask, who is he? Stating to say who he is, he's a traitor. Queen then goes on to say, I'll torture you if you're not going to tell us. But then an explosion happens to which allows Drake to escape while he's in his hybrid Allosaurus form. And as he jumps out and is falling towards the battle, he asks himself, what should I do? Where do I run? Is there any way back to the Navy? No, that comes later. So that indicates that Drake, when he did this, which I think it was an assignment, I know it was an assignment, he knew that one day I'm keeping this in. Y'all know I stumble over my words. He knew that one day he's going to return to the Marines. But, it's not time yet. So that's something to look forward to, him going back to the Marines. But he then falls on Juki, and then we get our first named attack, Excalibur, right as Luffy uses King Kong gun. And then as Juki and Goki fall, Drake then goes on to think to himself, if there's any hope left, he then remembers Kobe. Trust me, Luffy's amazing. Everybody then comments, that's Drake from the Todoropo, but why did he attack the giant? The chapter then ends with Drake exclaiming, Straw Hat, for reasons I cannot say now, I am an army of one. Please let me fight on your side. So they figured out Drake was a traitor, or rather they had somebody watching him the entire time. So yeah, that's interesting. Of course, Luffy looking like a deity to Wano, which they think that if somebody sees Zoro use non-tour style, which yet again, please, Oda, we want to see Kyutoria. We really want to see it. We just want to see a little bit of it. But yes, so that symbolism, it's been there. It's been there. Kaido being a dragon god, Luffy being a guardian deity, Zoro being a demon. Yeah, it's all there. But anyway, Drake. So Drake was who's who wanted to kill. Not too much happened in the chapter. I mean, we finally got that little reveal, but we see the battles going on up front, but it's pretty much all I can see is like a lot of filler being put in when this is in the anime, because we're like right up the anime's ass. But yeah, not a bad chapter. Finally got an attack from Drake. Wondering what Law is up to. So I don't think we've seen him in a while. And unfortunately, because a friend of mine, we were talking about Hawkins, and I was saying Hawkins ain't loyal to these hoes. Hawkins is in it for himself. Once he gets the chance to leave, he'll leave. Yeah, I was wrong. It looks like Hawkins is really sipping the Kool-Aid, unless there's some deeper con here for him. But we'll see. Yet again, not a bad chapter, just not really interesting to me currently. But anyway, that's going to wrap up the One Piece segment. And next, the awards. Alrighty. Next is going to be My Hero Academia, number 284, Deep Blue Battle. Alright, we pick up exactly what last chapter left off, with Deku using Float and Black Whip at the same time to lift everybody up. And it looks like he's also lifting up Shigaraki. So his quirk is like Ochakos where he can lift, we can float other people, which I thought it was just him, but yeah, it's cool. I mean, whatever. And my theory was right, which I don't think it took a lot to make the theory, but still, hey, look, man, I'm taking my flowers. So pretty much the entire reason he took Shigaraki up in the air is so he won't release another wave of destruction using decay. But we also see that Deku's control is shaky because the energy in his Black Whip is starting to kind of freak out. So then he lets everybody else down in order to get them out of the way, and he proceeds to fight Shigaraki. Endeavor yells to Shoto to go ahead and get everybody first aid, and even Endeavor, he goes to reflect on how pathetic it is. Like, it should be him up there fighting the number one villain as the number one hero, not Deku. Bakugo yells Deku to hang on, but then Deku yells back. He tells everybody that, hey, look, I'm not the one who needs help here, it's y'all. And he even goes on to say, this guy's no longer being held back by the erasure quirk, so, hey, it's up to him. Who else can keep Shigaraki off the ground? To which both Endeavor and Bakugo, they're pretty much stuck. It's like, shit, we don't want to have to rely on you, but you're right. You're the only person who can do this. So then Shigaraki, whose body is looking real patchy, tells him that, he tells him that he likes the sky so much, he'll send him straight to heaven once he gets one for all. And he's going to do the same thing to the old guy, Gran Torino, and everybody else. But Deku quickly retorts, powering towards him, you're not going to hurt anybody. So they go on to clash, but as that's happening, Bakugo looks on frustrated, and then we go into a flashback. So we flash back to earlier, it could potentially be months, not months, probably weeks. We see Sero, which I can't remember his real name, Ochako, and then we see Suya, or Sue as her friends call her. And then Deku has an afro. So they ask obviously about what the fuck the afro is for, and then he tells them that he has a training game with Bakugo, to where if he can't let Bakugo touch him while he's using Black Whip. So pretty much the afro is a sign that he's got fried. So everybody asks about Deku's new powers. Pretty much like, look, your powers are super strength. Why do you need us to help you? So then he makes up a lie like, hey, I need help, maneuvering in midair and shit like that. And which for Sero, and then for everybody else, it's like, hey, it's just handling mobility in midair. And so everybody was like, hey, he needs help with that, with whipping around. Which Aizawa would have been a good help. I think they asked that, but then Aizawa, this is, and I like how they tied in. This was when they went to go talk to what is that? The black phase guy. I cannot remember his name right now. Who has the warp gate quirk. And Deku then goes on to say, hey, I've been studying you all like he does everybody, so it's not weird. All right, so then he starts to float with Ochako, and then he starts using his air propulsion to kind of move around. And then All Might goes on to tell him, hey, okay, you're getting that. Go ahead and start using Black Whip. So then he goes over to Bakugo, and Bakugo's like, it's going great, huh? And then All Might says that the float quirk is kind of like his master's, and by training with it prior to unlocking should prevent a situation like what happened with Black Whip. So Bakugo, being the smart kid he is, he pretty much goes, this is gonna fool everybody forever. This shit is weird. It's weird. Like Deku displaying quirks that are different from his own, different from super strength even, are weird. And he even says, like, pretty soon, folks are going to kind of get it. And even right now in the story, okay, Black Whip, okay, maybe you can manifest your power outside of your body. But fucking flying? Nobody's going to believe that. So All Might then goes on to say he's not telling anybody about Black Whip. And yet again, this is to prevent another explosion like everything did with Black Whip. And he then goes on to coach Bakugo. He tells him that it's not only the wicked who seek power. So then Bakugo brings up something interesting, and this ties into a theory that I had. He goes on to say that Deku trusts All Might, but in the notebook about successors, your summary of the fourth was kind of half-ass. Only that one. Meanwhile, he wrote down details about the others, like the cause of death for the fifth, sixth, and seventh. He asks, why is that? And then Bakugo goes back to ask. Back then when he brought it up, he didn't tell me everything. So Bakugo then goes on to press him. Did you learn something about One for All? Although All Might rebuts and assures him not yet. He then goes on to say that he doesn't want to talk about things he isn't sure of before he knows. And then he goes on to say he's doing this because he's worrying about him. And Bakugo is too. They then go on to say about how Deku doesn't take himself into account. He's always doing things for other people, and he's always been like that, but it just doesn't feel right. And Bakugo even says he wants to keep him at arm's length, being that he doesn't worry about himself. He doesn't know if he can handle something happening to him. That's what I think he meant. Like, I don't want to get too close to him, and then something like this happens. So Bakugo then goes on to say it sounded remorseful that he ignored his own weaknesses and ended up bullying him. But All Might rebuts. Now you're helping him out sincerely. And he tells him that's his way of atoning. He even goes on to say that when he said that him and Endeavor were alike, he was talking about their willingness to change and admit their wrongs. He also says that he couldn't take a good look at him. He couldn't take a good look at himself until All Might's retirement. And he even goes on to reassure Bakugo, you'll get a chance to talk eventually. And then they go on to yell, Endeavor, you got to make this one count. And Deku goes on to say, as we cut back from the flashback and back in the present day, Deku goes on to say his wounds are healing slower. The damage is sticking. Looks like he's adapt. Well, he goes on to say that he's adapting his 100%. So pretty much Deku's using 100% in this battle without thinking much about how it could hurt him. And then he goes on to say also his wounds are healing slower. The damage is sticking. And then he goes on to say the last 200% attacks wrecked his left arm. And yet again, continuing, Shigaraki now possesses One for All, and One for All is a power passed down. Shigaraki now possesses All for One. One for All is a power passed down for the sole purpose of beating All for One. And Deku goes on to say that he has to take him out here. Now's the moment to let it all out. Everything that One for All has to offer, no matter what happens to me. Pretty much solidifying everybody's fears. He doesn't worry about himself when he's putting himself in these positions. He only thinks about what he can do for others. All right. Now, I like this chapter. It brought up a few things to light. Now, first off, what I was saying about a theory potentially being correct, don't know, but potentially being correct. But I know everybody has the quote-unquote time loop theory for the two all-for-one users that they couldn't see in the messages. Me, I have a different theory. At least, because now it seems like it's more so number 4 rather than number 3. And 2 and 3 and 4. I was thinking, I thought it was originally 2 and 3 or 3 and 4, whichever one of those. I was thinking that maybe the power had got passed on to villains, and within their villainy, they eventually found redemption. Too little, too late. And they had to pass it on to the other users of One for All. One for All. Gotcha. But, I mean, not too radical of a theory. Like, they were probably like solo villains who really didn't work with All for One. They probably had odds with them, so it's kind of fitting that a villain who didn't like All for One ended up with One for All, but ended up finding salvation and passing it on. Or it could be something else, because it looks like they're focusing more so on the fourth right now. So either the person had a detrimental power, or it's more so about who they were. And them being villains could be why the other people don't really connect with them. It's like, okay, y'all are villains. We're all walking the path of a hero. Or it could be something else. Now, as far as the chapter, pretty good, pretty good. The art's really good. We're chugging along, and we're kind of getting some of these character moments of Bakugo realizing his flaws. Because everybody hates Bakugo, and yes, Bakugo was a dickhead, but he's a kid. So everything that he did, I can kind of overlook because he's a child technically still. But yeah, good chapter. Seems like we're getting ready to figure out some more about the mystery of One for All users, which I'm cool with. But it's looking like this battle is taking its toll on Deku. And then remember what the doctor said after the training camp: you keep wrecking your arms, you ain't gonna be able to use them. So unless one of those One for All users had like a regeneration quirk or Ares powers activate, looking real bad out here. But anyway, on to the next one. Alrighty, now with all of the chapters discussed and reviewed, we have come to our award ceremony. Not gonna lie, like I said, no chapter was bad this week, but none of them blew me away. But like I said, with each chapter getting into its respective arc a little deeper, because some are deeper into the arcs than others, and with them just continuing, I know they're gonna get better. None of these chapters were necessarily bad, just nothing that really blew me away. But anyway, without further ado, we're gonna get on with the awards. First place, I'm gonna have to say My Hero Academia this week. Definitely. With the reason I say that is because we get the character development with Bakugo and his psyche towards his actions, which is great. I love that. I love that he's realizing that he was a real fuck up, and I love the fact that he's actually sorry for it. I really like, him becoming a better character. I know everybody hates Bakugo, but yet again, you gotta understand he's a kid and he's growing up, maturing, and realizing what he did wasn't right. But yeah, and then definitely, the continued fight with Midoriya and Shigaraki. Yet again, that art is just blowing me away. Second place, I'm gonna have to call it a tie because neither was bad. Neither was necessarily worse or better than the other. But One Piece and Black Clover take the combined silver for this. No, like I said, nothing was bronze worthy, and bronze isn't necessarily bad because when you have three good chapters, so like especially like on some weeks where it's been like all have been good, but some were just better than others. Somebody's gonna take the bronze, but I don't think either deserves really the bronze. You could put Black Clover or One Piece in that tier wherever you like. But that's gonna be it for this week. Thank you so much for joining me. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what your favorite moment was from the chapters. Tell me what you think is gonna happen next. And yet again, as far as a lot with the channel, I'm going to be addressing that in a video that's going up around the same time this one is. So keep it locked. Yet again, this is your boy, the D20, signing out. See you guys.